Chapter 13 was from Aktau in Kazakhstan, across the desert, over the border, into Uzbekistan and on through to Khiva. 3rd to the 11th of August. Right, here we are in Kazakhstan. 70 hours and 15 minutes since we got to the port in Azerbaijan. That is how long the whole thing has taken us. Gotta say, it's good to be here. Noticeably different here in the desert, not least because we seem to have swapped the cows for the camels, but we got to Aktau, 75k north of the port, and settled into a hotel. Very nice, good food, and then we watched possibly some of the relatives of the food we'd just eaten. Whoops. Next day, first thing we did is, with the help of Freedom Mobile, got our router working with the SIM card, and then went around town seeing the mix of old communist blocks and new investment into the Riviera, which could be quite nice at some point. Here's the beach, and we had a little dip. Right, I'm about to have my first dip into the Caspian Sea. Not exactly open water swimming, but the water was nice and warm, and because the coast faces west, we had some glorious sunsets. Back to the hotel, and having seen some of the previous guests, we couldn't resist ordering a chicken Kiev. Next day we went to the local supermarket to load up and then headed into the desert.
So for this part, usually you need a guide, 4x4 and some camping gear. We had all that apart from a guide, but we thought we'll give it a go. First stop was Bozira, where we saw these beautiful cliff faces shaped like canyons, and our first salt plain.
Wednesday the 6th of August, and we found ourselves some salt plains. We're driving along, trying not to get stuck.
It seems like not everything avoided getting stuck.
And we got stuck as well, and I had to leave Nero there. No, we didn't really. We were fine.
We really felt the enormity and emptiness of the desert, with endless horizons shimmering in the scorching heat.
I've got to say, times like this, I'm very glad we've got a 100-litre water tank and a 140-litre fuel tank. There really isn't very much here.
We found a spot to wild camp in the shade of some caves and settled down for the night with just us, the landy, some wild horses, some camels, a few thousand bats, the stars and the satellites. Beautiful. The next day we went to Tuzla, another beautiful part of this whole area, which is called the Mangistau Desert. Almost all of this driving was off-road, and our Candy Landy loved it.
At this time of year, the desert is over 40 degrees centigrade, and so it's both beautiful and unforgiving, and dust gets absolutely everywhere. We managed to find an extra windscreen wiper and then set off for the border. Kazakhstan itself is massive. It's the 9th largest country in the world, equivalent to the area of Western Europe. Despite its size, we managed to get a bit too close to the edge and were found by the Kazakh army in the no-go zone of the border. Fortunately, they were very friendly. They gave us some camel's milk, swapped a watch for some fridge magnets, had a few drives and took plenty of photos with the landie. Not so fortunately, they then escorted us back to the queue of truckers for a very hot, noisy, sleepless night. We'll be coming back to Kazakhstan next month, but for now, the next stop was Uzbekistan. And what a border it turned out to be. Got to say, we were really well looked after actually, with the armies on both sides of the border, personally taking us through customs and immigration, but it still took an awful long time. Right, Thursday the 8th of August, we're in no man's land at the moment between Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. It's taking us 5 hours to get to this point so far. 42 degrees centigrade, 20 mile an hour sandstorm. It's bad for us, it's horrible for the people working here. Most of the cars crossing were families who took their possessions out of their cars, including this fridge, believe it or not. And then finally, after 8 hours, we were through and straight into some extraordinarily large potholes in Uzbekistan. Luckily for us, they were building a massive great concrete road next to this old one. Luckily for us again, we had a landie that could get from the old to the new. So our journey actually wasn't too bad. Another sunset, another sunrise in the landie, another dust storm, a bit more bumpy road, and we finally got to our first town in 3 days, Nukus. We really liked Nukus actually. We found a hotel, found a shower, got ourselves washed, got the landie washed, and then went to the Nukus Museum of Art, which was founded by someone called Igor Savitsky, who, under the umbrella of research, managed to compile all sorts of paintings and artwork. Not easy under communist control. Brilliant museum. And having topped up on culture, it was time to top up the 100 litres of water in our landie. Okay, so we're just filling up our water tank in Uzbekistan. There's the hole we've got to get the water in. There's the water container. And here's the person that makes it all happen.
Drinking so much water.
That is how you siphon water, ladies and gentlemen. Brilliant. Well, we were quite hungry after doing that for 87 litres. Then we caught up with one of the many Candy Landy fans before taking a drive through to our next destination, Khiva. One of the many good things about Uzbekistan is it's one of the cheapest countries in the world. The exchange rate is 16,000 som to £1. Once you get your head round that, even a bill of $500,000 only works out to be £30.
The next day, we visited the old city of Khiva, which, together with Bukhara and Samarkand, is one of 3 main centers along the Silk Road in Uzbekistan. Khiva is known as the oldest of the 3, founded 2,500 years ago, allegedly by one of the sons of Noah. It's often referred to as a living museum and was awarded 2024 City of Tourism in the Islamic world, recognizing its rich history of trade and learning. The inner city includes 54 madrasas or schools. Famous academics studied here, such as Al-Khwarizmi, who gave his name to algorithm and introduced algebra over 1,000 years ago. We had a great tour guide called Sabine, who brought the importance of this city to life. We loved it, from the Juma Mosque with 200 wooden columns to ancient palaces and harems for ruling kings, winding streets, intimate bazaars and imposing minarets.
As we were wandering around Khiva, we couldn't help noticing there were rather a large number of melons, and it turns out we were at the right time for the annual melon festival. So we came back that evening for something quite spectacular. It was a bit of a Soviet-style celebration of agriculture and the importance to the country, but why not? The country is doing rather well, and the melons were totally gorgeous. After a couple of hours, it was the end of the night for the little melons, but just the start for some of the dancers. Luckily, at least one of us could dance, so we came away with some new friends and 3 melons, a good night's work. Well, we're loving Uzbekistan. Bukhara and Samarkand next. Then we're not sure because we're still waiting for our Tajikistan visa application to be approved or rejected. More in the next episode.